How terrifying can sleep paralysis actually get? That's a question I've been pondering recently, and the curiosity sent me spiraling down a rabbit hole. And as always, you're kindly invited to tag along with me as I explore this strange, terrifying world of sleep paralysis and share some of the most chilling stories I found online. If you're familiar with my channel, you'll know I recently played the Silent Still games. These games truly give the players a haunting glimpse into the dreadful experience of sleep paralysis, and it's safe to say they definitely piqued my interest. And so my deep dive began. I'm a curious person, so naturally I had questions. What is sleep paralysis? Why is sleep paralysis? Is there a scientific explanation for it? Or can it be something darker? Most people who've heard of it know that sleep paralysis is a sleep disorder that strikes in the dead of night, trapping you in your body. You wake up, unable to move or speak, often accompanied with breathlessness and a feeling of pressure on your chest. No matter how hard you try, your lungs seem to lack the ability to fill with the air you so desperately need. Honestly, it sounds horrifyingly claustrophobic to me. And it gets worse. While your body is locked in place, your mind scrambles to make sense of what's happening, and sometimes it creates visuals that feel all too real. So, imagine this. You're lying in bed. You can't move. You can't scream. No one's coming to help you. All you can do is look around your room, heart racing, desperate for it to end. A wave of dread washes over you as you realize you're trapped between sleep and wakefulness. And that's when they appear. The ones people call sleep paralysis demons. Shadowy figures that lurk in the corners of your room, watching, waiting. And sometimes they get a little too close. Sometimes it feels all too real, as though at any moment they'll reach out and grab you. And that's when the real nightmare begins. I've never experienced full-blown sleep paralysis myself, but I do know what it's like to suffer from sleep hallucinations and somnophobia. That deep fear of falling asleep because of what waits for you when you close your eyes. The apprehension that follows you throughout your day because eventually, you know, you have to give in to sleep. So, today I'll be sharing with you some of the internet's most terrifying first-hand accounts of sleep paralysis. Get yourself a nice cozy blanket, get comfortable, and let me take you into a world where you're wide awake and completely powerless. Before we begin, if you're like me and you too are curious about what the scientific explanation might be, stick around till the end of the video, because after these stories, we'll take a closer look at the science behind sleep paralysis, if science can explain it at all. But for now, it's story time. The Night That Changed My Experience with Sleeping Forever by Ryzen Cross. It was 1995 and I was 8 years old. That day my mother reminded me to get ready and to wear what she called sad colors. Black, navy blue, grey, anything muted, nothing casual. We were going to my aunt's funeral. I didn't know her well, but family is family. The day was sunny, though it felt heavy with grief. Inside the church I sat quietly, observing the big clay statues placed onto the niche in the walls. Each niche held a scene from the Stations of the Cross. The one in my seat showed Jesus falling for the second time. I believe this was the 7th station. I noticed the artist had given the crowd and soldiers such twisted, cruel faces that they looked almost demonic. After an hour of hymns, prayers, and eulogies, we walked to the cemetery next door. By then, the sky had shifted. The sun vanished behind pale clouds, and dark rain clouds gathered on the horizon. As restless children do, I grew bored after the Catholic ritual of tossing dirt on the casket, a symbolic return to dust. I wandered among the burial plots, weaving between above-ground tombs and vaults. That's when I made what I now believe was my mistake. I placed my small hands on top of one of the burial sites, climbed up. Then I jumped from one tomb to another, as if they were stepping stones. Just as I prepared to leap again, My mother's voice called out. I looked in the direction of her voice and saw her waving me to come to her. It was time to leave. We stopped at my favorite Chinese restaurant, ate and went home. Life seemed normal again. As soon as we got home, I made my way upstairs in my room. I turned on the TV and my Sega Genesis. I lined up my game cartridges, Batman, Sonic 2, Sonic & Knuckles, The Lion King, but I chose Pirates of Dark Water. I played until about 10 PM when my mother told me it was bedtime. I brushed my teeth and crawled under the covers, eager to wake up and play again. But that night changed my experience with sleep forever, and so the nightmare began. I was outside, standing on the left side of our house. I knew there was something evil lingering on the right side, circling towards me. I felt its presence like static in the air. I tried to run, but my legs were heavy, as if shackled with concrete. I turned just as it rounded the corner. A figure, pure black, with glowing red eyes, charged at me. Terrified in fight mode, I chose fight and ran toward it, colliding with it head-on. My eyes flew open. I was back in my room. The first thing I saw was the green glow of the AC unit. Heard its steady hum. My heart hammered in my throat. I tried to turn over, and that's when the terror truly began. I couldn't move, not an inch. Only my eyes darted wildly around the room. Everything looked normal, my posters, my toys, my TV. But I couldn't scream, couldn't breathe deeply. My legs felt crushed, like invisible hands were squeezing them. Breathing felt as though there was a pillow pressed over my face. And then I felt it. Something was there with me. I couldn't see it or hear it, but I sensed it behind me, watching. Out of the corner of my eye, a shadow seemed to shift. My blood ran cold. Then came the strangest sensation, as though something grabbed me by the leg and began lifting me upward. I felt weightlessness, yet still pinned to the bed. The higher I felt myself rise, the harder it became to breathe. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed. I begged for help, for forgiveness for what seemed to be a long time. Then, suddenly, I felt light and cold. The sensation was gone. I opened my eyes. I could move again. I shot upright and turned on the light, taking in a deep breath of air. The alarm clock read just past 3 AM. I didn't dare sleep again. Hours later, when my mother woke, I told her what happened. She asked me when did this happen. I said it was around 3 AM. She looked at me and without skipping a beat said, 3 AM is known as the devil's hour. Later, as an adult, I learned it's also called the witching hour. It is the inversion of 3 PM, the time Jesus is said to have died on the cross. It is said that it's a great victory, seeing he took the world's sins. So just like the crucifix became a symbol of good, and the upside-down crucifix became one of evil, I was led to believe the same applied to those 2 hours. You might think this is just a coincidence, and are entitled to your opinion. But since that night, for 30 years, I have experienced sleep paralysis on and off, and every single time, without fail, as soon as I regain my mobility again and look at the time, it always happens around 3 AM. The thing at the foot of the bed. Author Anonymous. It was 3:14 AM when I woke up, or at least I thought it was. My room was bathed in a faint orange glow from the streetlight outside. I could see my dresser and my desk, the outline of the door. Everything was perfectly still, but I couldn't move. My body felt like it was nailed to the mattress. I tried to wiggle my fingers. Nothing. My chest felt heavy, like someone was pressing down on me. Panic crept through my throat, but no sound came out. That's when I noticed it. A shape, tall and impossibly thin, stood at the foot of my bed. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the shadows, but then it moved, slowly. Its head tilted unnaturally far to one side, like it was studying me. My heart pounded in my ears. I tried to close my eyes, but they wouldn't shut. All I could do was watch. The figure took a step closer. Its limbs bent in ways they shouldn't, like broken bones held together by string. Another step. I could hear faint breathing, raspy wet like air being dragged through a cracked pipe. Suddenly the creature dropped on all fours. Its movements were jerky, insect-like. I could feel it crawling up my bed. The mattress dipped under its weight. Though that thing's hands, they were wrong. Its long, black, twisted fingers stretched out, wrapping around my ankles as cold as ice. I wanted to scream, to thrash, to do anything, but I was a prisoner in my own body, and I felt it climb over me. Its face inches from mine now. Its eyes, if you could even call them that, were these dark, empty pits swelling with something alive. It opened its mouth, but no sound came out. Instead, the light pouring in from the street outside flickered. The walls seemed to bend inwards, closing in around us. The thing leaned closer. Its breath was rancid. It smelled like rotting earth, yet it was sickly sweet. And then it spoke. Not with words, not with a voice, but straight into my mind. I've been here every night. My heart stopped. I could feel tears streaming down my face. And then, just as his face touched mine, I woke up. My body finally moved. My room was exactly the same as before. The street light still glowing, the door still closed. But the mattress felt so cold, like it was still there, waiting for me to go back to sleep, watching. Sometimes sleep paralysis becomes physical. By Robbie Flakehooks on the sleep paralysis subreddit 5 years ago. I'm 17 years old, but I've been having sleep paralysis ever since I was 14. Although the experiences started out as only auditory, there was a point where they became physical. I sleep facing my wall, but I often feel a presence move around and the opposing feelings of someone moving towards me. Anyways, the first physical sleep paralysis experience I had was probably the most terrifying one. It started out normal. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I was lying there, just waiting it out, when I heard my door open and someone enter my room. They walked around my bed and sat down on it next to me. I heard the mattress shift and squeak as I sat down. Then I felt a hand gently come through my hair. I was startled at first, but then eased into it. For some reason my mind was telling me it was my mum, so I decided to go with that. Slowly, however, the coming went from gentle to increasingly forceful, to the point that it felt like someone was ripping my hair out. I tried saying a prayer, but I wasn't able to, as I was still paralyzed and felt heavy on my chest, as if someone was pressing down at applying pressure. All of a sudden, it stopped. And I was just lying on my bed. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I had my first and most terrifying sleep paralysis experience today, and now I'm just scared to go to sleep. By CS412 is bad on the India subreddit 1 year ago. I felt awake, my eyes open, but I couldn't move. I started transitioning between lucid dreaming, hallucinations, and calmness. I was hallucinating some shadowy figure dropping dead rats and snakes onto me. I screamed in terror in my dream, but I couldn't do shit. Then I was lying in bed and I saw my mum walk in to see the shadowy figure strangle her to death. I begged for help and nothing happened. I was still in my bed, couldn't move, couldn't do shit. I lay there helpless as I saw my mum die right in front of me. I decided to call my house help, who stays at the house, to get him to come back from the grocery store. Every time the call would connect, he would mutter in a subdued voice, and I would just scream at him. I could hear his breathing through the phone, yet he would just proceed to laugh on the call. I was utterly devastated and terrified. Meanwhile, I could see the shadowy figure approach me from the door of my bedroom. I would thrash, beg, plead to it to stop, but it wouldn't stop. My torso, especially my chest, would feel so heavy whenever I tried to get up to retaliate. However, I simply couldn't. I lay there, helpless, as a shadowy figure laughed while dropping snakes and dead rats onto me. Eventually, through sheer rage and helplessness, I pushed myself by screaming and I woke up. My heart was pounding. I woke up in a cold sweat. I had a pretty bad headache. I immediately called my mum to check up on her, and I was instantly relieved to hear her voice. But now, I am utterly terrified to go to sleep. Sometimes I question what's real, by unknown author. I've had sleep paralysis for many years now. It's become such a regular part of my life that I can usually sense when it's about to happen. But there are some nights that I'll never forget. One of them started on the couch in my living room. I woke up frozen, my body glued to the cushions. That's when I saw it, a dark, hulking creature slithering into the room. It crawled toward me and climbed onto the couch. I felt its icy hands grip my shoulders. Then it dragged me off the couch and onto the floor. I felt scratches across my skin as it pulled me, inch by inch, toward the floor. I felt the thud of my back hitting the carpet. I was helpless, screaming silently in my head. In the hallway, I saw what looked like my dad, except it wasn't him. He was taller, too tall. I could see muscles bulging under his skin. That thing wasn't my father. It leaned in close, its face twisting in a way no human face should. Just as it reached for me, I woke up. Another time, I wasn't so lucky. I woke up on my stomach, unable to move. At the foot of my bed sat a small shadowy figure, about the size of a child. My heart pounded. I closed my eyes, just telling myself over and over, it isn't real. But when I opened them, that thing was crawling up my bed. It climbed onto my back and sat there. Heavy, like it was pinning me down. I couldn't breathe. I was certain I was going to die right there, paralyzed and alone. Nights like that make you question what's real, and what's waiting for you in the dark, just out of reach. God, those are certainly some chilling first-hand accounts of sleep paralysis. It really makes me grateful that I myself have never experienced it, but my heart really goes out to anyone who has, because it really does sound horrifying. And it makes you think we really don't know a lot about dreaming and its role that it plays while we sleep. I mean, there's sleep hallucinations. What is that? What's that about in the brain? Why you gotta terrify us so intensely? It's not nice. And so, that brings me to the part of the video where I'm essentially going to cradle you. But let me explain. If you're anything like me, after playing a scary game or watching a spooky movie late at night, I need to watch some cartoons or something lighthearted. Because I'm really not trying to be in that scared paranoid state where you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, it's a little warm. Maybe I should lift the covers a little bit. But then you think, no, what if there's something in here with me? I dare not poke out a toe. I dare not. I'm not trying to be so paranoid at night that I'm thinking an item of clothing hung suspiciously looks like a shadowy creature from the depths of hell. No thank you. That's a sleep paralysis demon's job. And I would not like a seat on that train, so allow me to do my best to comfort you. In some way, or at least try. Because I personally don't want to give you nightmares or inflict any terrifying sleep experiences on you. So maybe, just maybe, this can alleviate that. So, let us get into the portion of the video where we look at sleep paralysis from a different lens. How on earth does science explain it? Well, the paralysis part is simple. It's caused by something called muscle atonia. It occurs in the body during REM sleep to essentially prevent your body from moving and flailing around during vivid dreaming. It's basically for your own protection. But what about those pesky demons, huh? What's the deal with that? Well, according to the science you folks in the white coats, it's because there's been a disrupted transition between the cycle of REM sleep and non-REM sleep. Your mind is awake and fully aware of your surroundings, but your body is still in that REM-induced paralyzed state. So you're caught in this in-between state of sleep and wakefulness, and frightening hallucinations can come into play. This is why dream imagery intrudes on waking consciousness, often depicting sensations of a presence lurking in the room, that awful feeling of pressure or suffocation, and even experiencing floating or an out-of-body sensation. The mind is a wild thing, especially when it comes to dreaming. It certainly feels as though we don't really understand it or the role it plays even to this day. It really makes you wonder, what are the role of dreams? And now thinking about it, I wonder how people way back when experienced sleep paralysis. No wonder they thought it was a demon. I don't blame them, quite frankly. Even people to this day still believe it's some sort of spiritual attack, something supernatural. But what are your thoughts? The comment section is always open for you. And so, that brings me to the end of this video. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. I sincerely appreciate it. May you sleep well, your dreams be pleasant, and make sure to take care of yourself. And I do hope to see you in the next one.